color to it. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. It was red, actually.
But the last one, I was going to work. And this is between 4 and 4:10, 4:12 in the morning. And son, the moon was so huge, son. Like, when you talking scale, like, I had never visibly seen the moon this big before, or this close.
It was big. But the thing is, it doesn't translate to photos.
Yes, because of
it's just a moon in the shot.
But I'm thinking with that long focal lens, when, like, son, I'm looking at it from my own eyes, and I'm like, wait, nah, son, this moon is huge. Comparable. So, like, the backdrop. Well, it was the backdrop, but compared to so when I saw it, it was around the Verrazano. So I'm on the Belt Parkway. Verrazano was ahead, and the moon was just it was just like damn near the size of the Verrazano Bridge.
So okay, I got you. No, that's what you need. Because you need a man-made structure to show the scale of just how big the fucking
son. If there was any way I would have been able to get that shot, I would have. Now, on shooting it on an iPhone, it just won't work.
Nah.
But shooting it on
you'll never get that.
Something with some focal length. Right. Oh man, that picture was that picture in my mind, had I been able to catch it, would have been really nice.
This goes back to something that I probably want to bring up later in another episode down the line, but like, the thing is, you're probably gonna remember it more because you was in the moment as opposed to taking the photo.
No, 1,000%.
You know what I mean? So like, that's just one of those cherished moments that that you can't put a price on.
Right.
Getting a photo of it probably would have subconsciously devalued that in your mind. You know what I mean? But son, dope. But speaking of that, because it sounds like that rocked your world a little bit. We're in the month of May. Last month, what rocked your world last month, in a good way?
In a good way.
Yeah. It's easy to go the other route. I think we've been a bit heavy on that stuff. What rocked your world out of all the madness that was going on and what is continuing to go on at this moment in time? What rocked your world?
As much as I wouldn't necessarily put rocked, I wouldn't attach rock to it, but for the sake of, outside of anything, like my wife, like, to keep it pandemic-ish, like, I would say that app Discord, I think was a high.
Fam. What I say about saying that word?
I said the D word. I'm sorry. Now, I could say, my wife, there was a lot that she did that rocked my world. Like, her attention to me, at a time where I was done, but that's a default.
You felt dumb. It's not a default, because she could have did nothing, and there's people out there.
That's all I got.
Yeah, sure. She could have did nothing. So
she could have done nothing, and I'd still be fucked up.
and it's very important that goes listed as rocking the world, because sometimes you don't know until it shows up. You could do all this everybody could test you on this and test you on that. It doesn't mean you're going to execute in the real world situation.
For sure.
So to have that checked off for you, and to see it happen, it probably helped build some more admiration, attraction, and all the other stuff for her. Of course. That's a very great answer.
Of course. again, very relative to what was going on sociologically at the time. But other than that, there were just like I really can't say that there was anything that happened outside of that.
Outside of that and the D word.
You know what I'm saying? Yes, outside of that and the D word. And I only use the D word because
D word is very good technology. It's awesome.
Yeah, it exposed
and it helped you.
Me to something.
It helped me too.
Right.
Yeah.
It exposed me to something at a time where I very well could have just gone crazy staring at four walls.
And that's the point that that's why the D word is so dope. Yep.
Mm-hmm. So why can't we say the word if it's so dope?
Because we got to keep the other people off of it as long as possible before it gets ruined, son.
Yeah.
Anybody, all the listeners, ruined. You hit us up, we'll tell you. But we ain't gonna just be putting it out there like that. We're protecting the house that saved us.
Yeah, hit the beep sign when I said it. Hit the beep sound.
RZA, how about you?
I'm more in line with Tawann.
Mm-hmm.
I think my wife. It still sounds pretty strange to say, but not strange. I'm just not used to saying.
Yeah,
fam, but it's
I say my girl and my lady. I'm not used to saying my wife.
It sounds good. It sounds amazing.
It took me a while.
So
it took me a while, bro.
Yeah, it's my birthday, man. So it started out like a week before me and Mac was on the D word.
Mm-hmm.
And I took out a cigar to cut. And he was asking me about the humidor, and I was like, yeah, here's the science behind keeping your cigars fresh and moisturized and how the humidity plays a role and blah, blah, blah. And then we got into like a cigar cooler, which is kind of like a wine cooler, but it's meant for cigars. So I sent them the link, and the one I sent wasn't, it was nice. I was like, shit, hold the fuck on. So I sent it to my wife. I was like, babe, is this too much for my birthday? She's like, nah, it's fine. I was like, all right. Actually, that was probably like 4 or 5 days before my birthday. And my birthday's in April, so we're in the thick of the pandemic, right? Like, no one's going anywhere. Everyone's scared to go outside. So my birthday's a wash, right? So 12 o'clock comes, and 12 o'clock didn't come. It's like 11 something. And we're sitting on the couch. I think I told you guys this story. We're sitting on the couch, and she's like falling asleep. I'm like, babe, just go.
She's normally an early bird.
I give or take. It depends. But this particular, it was just a long day for her. I was like, go do your thing, man. Go get your shower and hit the bed. Like, it's all good. Because we were watching some stupid movie. And she kept fighting. I was like, what the hell's wrong with you? And then, like, she just starts, like, singing Happy Birthday. I was like, Happy Birthday? What the fuck? Like, I didn't even know what day of the week it was.
Yeah.
Right.
I was so, like, discombobulated. I was like, oh, shit. She's like, you ready for your birthday gift? I wasn't expecting that. She's like, go by the door. So I go by the door, and there's this big fucking box of the cigar, the cigar cooler. Yeah. I was just like, wait, what? How the fuck? Like, I didn't hear the doorbell ring. I mean, because in the daytime, I'm usually in the studio,
right, with
the headphones on, like gaming or learning or recording, whatever I'm doing. Right. So I didn't hear it. But I don't know how she got this bitch here within 3 or 4 days in a pandemic.
And it's not light.
For my birthday. Nah, it's a big ass box, bro. But she got that shit here, and then, so the actual daytime, we went to bed. I wasn't fucking with that shit then at 12 o'clock. So the next day we just woke up. It was a weekday, so she was working, but I set up the cigar fridge and, took my time, separated all my cigars, and I had a good time doing that. And then, like, later on that day, she baked a a carrot cake. Her first carrot cake shit was delicious.
Nice.
She did a whole dinner. We got dressed up. I had my jacket on, a shirt and underwear. You know what I mean? Like my sports coat.
Yeah.
She had on a nice black dress, and we just had dinner. And then after that, we went and took a walk. So it was, she still managed to curate a memorable experience in the worst of times. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? Like, it still stands up against any of my other birthdays.
Right.
So I thought that was wild dope.
Yeah. No, that was pretty dope. That was pretty dope.
Yeah.
And it's your first birthday. It's her birthday is in November. Yes.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
You had her first birthday right after the wedding.
The wedding.
And now it's your birthday to be had.
Yeah.
And it's the timing is unfortunate, but the experience doesn't have to be. You know what I'm saying?
True.
And
Absolutely.
And that's always most important, where you guys can just acknowledge and keep what the important things foremost and in front of you. It's not, you don't have to, and that sometimes is difficult for me to difficult for me to I wouldn't say comprehend, but maybe sometimes difficult for me to receive. Like, it does, like, you can do things that are grandiose in thought and in feeling, but very small in scale. Like, you don't have to go out and do just these wild things. It's the simple things. It's the small things. It's difficult for me to. I always like to be big when it comes to doing things for my wife. I would like to be big, whether it happens or not. But it's always the first in my mind to do the biggest, when you don't always have to. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You should just. It's just the simple things. It's the small things that matter, and it's. I guess it's a fault of mine, and that I'm working on. But
no, I get it though. I get that part of it,
and it's always awesome to do just the small things and the slight things, and do with what we have.
Yep,
that's dope. That was.
What
dope.
about you, Snow?
Yeah.
On that note, something similar. There's one of the things that rocked my world. I softly announced that I got hit with the 1-2 thing, and
1-2 punch.
Yeah, and it wasn't supposed to be about me. I was checking in with the IGZ group, making sure everybody was alright. Because if I was doing it silently, who else is doing it?
Right.
And I put that message out. I know, because the group, people thank us for the group all the time, even since the beginning of its inception. And the group goes left. It's not really about gaming, you know what I mean? But it's like some people only stay on Facebook because of that. And I know that the group was carrying along, and I would pop my head in there and throw stuff in there, and then break out too to keep the engine running when it wasn't. Plus, I was waking up at weird ass hours, so I see stuff and I would do it right when I wasn't tripping. So I went to make sure everybody was good, let them know, like, I know this group, sometimes for some people they get offended, they don't want to say nothing, but you can tell, that the group is there, all right, and I know this is good for everybody. And people was just commenting on the posts, and made it about me. And that was like, it was touching. It was heart touching. And again, sometimes receiving that stuff, it's not. I'm used to checking on everybody. I'm not used to many people checking and caring on me. And I'm not saying that people don't care. I'm just not used to the volume when it comes. You get what I'm saying? I know I got a handful of people that I know for sure, like, it cares. Like, I know me telling Ramon, that was a load. You get what I'm saying? Like, I know that was a load.
Right.
So, and I had to. I couldn't hide that I was on camera with you guys. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I couldn't hide that. So, saying that, putting that out there, and then a couple people's, some mutual friends, RZA, from high school, they reached me out in private. It was like, yo, fam, I was going through it too. I didn't know you was going through it, blah, 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 blah. So, it was just rocking my world with that type of reach out. Jerry reached out to me way beforehand, and that kind of stuff. And me being able to help people, and this one person, I helped her. She the way she runs it back to me, she lets me know I helped her out tremendously because I went through it, and then she ended up catching it, and I'm like coaching her, and she's like poaching me for notes and stuff like that, and she's still fighting it to somewhat extent. So my day to day, week to week, or every other day in touch with her is phenomenal, and she's been holding me down on numerous other stuff, so that's dope. But the other thing, outside of the D word, Streets of Rage motherfucking 4. My God, 26 years since that trash ass Streets of Rage 3, and I'm fucking Streets of Rage 3 is not trash. I just like to say it, and it's been amazing. Like, I love it. Like, this is so dope. It's not the best Streets of Rage. I can't say that right now. I still think number 2 is the best, but
I'm going with number 1.
That's fine. I'm not gonna argue that. And it's like, you can't go wrong. You know what I mean? Like, you really can't go wrong. And what I love about my love for Streets of Rage 4 is that it had other people who go, you know what? Snow's always talking about this fucking game. I'm gonna take him up on it, and they bought it. $25, no big deal. It was on sale for almost every platform except the Xbox because they had it free for Game Pass. Mm-hmm. And people who's never touched the Streets of Rage game is thanking me for the game. They bought it. They love it. They're playing it. They're getting other people to buy it. And it's just this one thing that's like old school that got some new school flavor that's connecting generations of gamers and brought back some older ones. And that's what rocked my world.
So, you guys was telling me about Streets of Rage, and I'm like, wait, there's another fucking Streets of Rage? I'm like, whoa, okay. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, what immediately flies back into my brain is playing 1 and 2. So I never physically owned part 2. It was a rental for me from an actual brick and mortar mom and pop video store. Shout out the video store. Mm-hmm. I couldn't even tell you what the name was. It was just the video store.
Yeah, it was the video store
for sure. And that is actually where I became my Street Fighter days were very prominent in that store. I sent a lot of people out of that store very upset. But as we move on, so I did have one though. I had it for Sega Genesis, and it was just part of what made it so dope. It wasn't just the going board to board, beating the big bad, doing whatever the case may be. It was also the music behind it. That Streets of Rage, the soundtrack, I would buy today.
Yeah.
It was very house centric, and the game came out at a time where house music was so prominent. Mm-hmm. You're talking 91, 92, mm-hmm. 93. Yep. That was the big deal at that time. I remember playing that song and that game. I had my brother, we had a Commodore 64, so I would use the monitor from the Commodore 64 where I slept. And I put the game on, and the game was hooked up to my sound system. Mm-hmm. So I'm playing, and it sounds like a theater, a home theater. Yeah. So my mom I never forget, my mom was around, and she's like, what music is that you playing? And my mom was the house music, because my pops again was also into house disco. He DJ'd and all that stuff. So as it would be, my mom's into it, I'm into it as mm-hmm. well. But my mom was like, what is that? It sounds nice. Mm-hmm. And I was like, Mom, that's actually a video game. Mm-hmm. She said, what? Mm-hmm. What? Like, no. I was like, yeah, it's a video game. She was like, how are they making video games with such good music in it? I was like, I at this point in time, I just played. I played video games. It wasn't about. I didn't have a rhyme, a reason or an answer as to why or how this was the case. But it was the case, and this was the game with the best soundtrack ever.
Yeah.
Not anything else followed suit. I mean, it was tinny for the time, but you could put that on with another house song and it would go.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you something. The whole day of the release, I told you the story off camera, but like all I was listening to was Streets of Rage 2 soundtrack playlists on YouTube.
Yes.
That's all I was listening to the entire day.
Yes. Like I could go back to YouTube because I think you could find it on YouTube.
Oh, it's there.
And type in YouTube Streets of Rage soundtrack and listen to it. So it was one or two that was like, but most, I would say 85 to 90% of the music on that game was dope.
Yeah. No, I think all the music only got was dope. Better. It's just that some of it had to be played into what it actually was, which was you got to play the boss battle music and you got to play those in betweens. Yep. So that's all it was.
Yeah. So it was just it was really dope. Like that. That's a game slightly off of what we're talking about, but that is moving for me right now. Yeah. When it comes to if there's ever a point in a month that would move me to that point or rock my world, so to speak, like the knowledge that, whoa, this is back. Yeah. There's no stopping. I need that.
I'm going to give you one more thing so we can get to the next on that, right? You can use the old school music, the retro music, to play through the game.
On the new game.
But I'm going to tell you this. Until you beat the game twice, don't put it on. Respect the new music, fam. Trust me on that.
I'm with it. Right. I'm with it. I'm willing to rock and see what because I mean, here we are. It's a new day. It's a new time. Yeah. They have to get it right. If anything gets nailed, I don't care if the gameplay isn't what it's supposed to be. If they nail the music, I'm sold.
Here's something on it, right? The guys who composed the main guy and the team that he had that composed it on the first games also did this one.
Wow.
All right, so let's just move this forward. Let's get into the other. Should Microsoft consider marketing their version of home automation? You know, think Google Home, think Alexa, think all that. What do you guys think about that?
I want to hear Ramon.
I don't think they have anything.
Well, Cortana would have been the thing, right?
Cortana.
No. Home automation is completely different.
Because when you say Google Home, you say Alexa,
do this.
Right. It's all connected, right? With the home, because to add home to this conversation, to add Alexa to the conversation, the part is the trigger, and that's the experience. Now, yes, it's like a if this then that, right? You know, turning on lights, turning on this, turning on that, but it's what's triggering it and the system, the ecosystem that goes with. Right? Because Casa has it as well, but it's connected to Google Home, it's connected to Alexa, it's connected to some of these other things.
So, and to add a little bit more context, Ramon, when I dropped this in the docket, we all say Alexa this, and we all say Google that. To keep triggering my Google thing, I won't say it properly. However, Microsoft, we watched things that showcased Bill Gates' home and how he was doing this early 2000s.
This stuff was built in a Windows Phone.
And that's what I'm saying. Like Microsoft dove into mobile tech. Microsoft is already head and shoulders above when it comes to many software innovations. Microsoft is at the forefront, along with companies like Apple, so on and so forth. But in the spectrum of home automation, Microsoft never pumped that out to the world, to consumers. It was always we'll just let Bill Gates have it and let Bill Gates do it, because this is Bill Gates, and if something goes wrong, he'll fix it, and we're not going to push R&D and all of this crazy stuff into this, because this is nuanced for Bill Gates. However, it's nuanced for him, but when it comes to the general public, you now have companies like Google with Nest. You had the Google Nest merger, so now Google owns Nest, and now it's a thing to say, okay, cut on my such and such lights. It's a thing for Alexa to say, okay, cut on this or cut on that. However, home automation it's integration. So you have so many things like Hue. Hue just makes the peripherals that communicate through Wi-Fi. They are not the quintessential beginnings of home automation. I think home automation begins when you allow one device to communicate with these other devices, with your television, right? With your lights, with your plugs, with your, you remember when we used to say, hey, Cortana, turn my Xbox on, or Xbox on. Well, that's a type of home automation, but Microsoft never said, nah, open that up to lights. We see where this is going. Open that up to, TVs. We see where that's going. The most you were able to do was say, hey, Xbox on, and it turned on because everything was routed into whether HDMI or plugged into, so the TV will cut on. Your surround sound, because it was was linked through your TV, would cut on, so on and so forth. Why didn't Microsoft, maybe I phrased the question wrong, but why didn't Microsoft go balls to the wall with home automation like Google did?
They did. I mean, I think Microsoft Home OS was a thing back in 2012 or 13. Mm-hmm. It was available to partners. The SDKs were out there. Right. And then in 2014, 2015, it was baked into Windows Phone. Mm-hmm. They had, fuck is the name of the company? Intention or something like that. I forget the name of the company. Insteon, mm-hmm. Or I hope I'm pronouncing it right, but they partnered with they partnered with that company who would essentially provide that smart hub, right, that your smart lights and all that would then talk to. So they were doing it well before everybody else. Right. But if you look at Windows Phone was sort of the catalyst for Microsoft's home automation stuff. That's where it was really baked into, and Windows Phone went away, and then they just that also went away. Mm. But home automation,
smart home,
what we know today is a very, very recent thing. Right. The last 3 years maybe, and I'm being nice there, because you can't really call what we have today is home automation. Because these things all exist on their own. They don't. Like you said.
They're very individualized.
So it's about how do you create this ubiquitous this ubiquitous thing where they can all be a part of to work together. And Google literally just figured that out. Apple launched HomeKit. I think I've played with HomeKit. HomeKit is fine. So I have both.
Right.
Because I always have Apple devices in the house, and the great part of it is like the Hue lights, the Xbox, all that stuff still all communicate with either Apple or Google shit. But I think the Thread, for whatever reason, and I never dug into it, the Thread is you need to have a mobile platform first, which only leaves two, right? Google and Apple.
Right.
So I think that's why Microsoft is more behind the scenes. Because what are you going to use to tie all of these things together? Microsoft Word? You know what I mean? Like, you're going to use your Windows PC? That's not convenient. You need to be able to run this shit on everything. And it's not... You can say, well, yes, but Cortana existed on both iOS and Android, but that since fizzled out.
Yeah.
So if they can't get that foot in the door first, then, the rest of it's just like, I don't know, this may just never not happen. And I think the new Microsoft is, I like the focus that Satya Nadella gives, where they're not all over the place. They're not trying to steamroll. Not saying they can't, because that's their thing. Pour money in that direction till you steamroll everyone. And I think these days they're not doing that, which is also cool, because it's kind of like admitting, fam, I ain't got it. I don't need to be over there. Like, both Google and Apple already do a good job. What the fuck's the point of number 3? You know what I mean? Like, they're really, what are they gonna do? How are they gonna innovate in that space that hasn't already been done? I guess that's the question. And I don't see. Because even when HomeKit was launched and Google was still getting a hold of Google Home, they relatively arrived at the same answer in the same way. They all do the same shit. And today, the diversity and the innovation is happening around the partners, not the ecosystem. Right. So, like, before it was expensive ass Philips Hue lights, but now you can get cheaper smart lights from whoever the fuck, insert generic brand on Amazon. Right. Now you got the smart plugs. Now you got the Samsung shit that you can buy. So that's where the innovation is happening, but not so much the ecosystem of the smart home automation thing. Right. And I don't really see a need for Microsoft to get into it there, because I don't see how they can make it any better or worse than what we already have. Therefore, what's the point of pouring money into it?
Once they lost the phone battle, they lost that battle too. They lost that battle. They're losing it on the Xbox. They're losing it.
Excuse me?
They lost the battle on the Xbox. People disable it.
I use Google.
You know what I mean? Like, you can't sell the Kinect no more. You can't get the Kinect no more, whichever way you want to say that. So you switch over to Cortana thing that you can use through your microphone. People turn that off. There was issues where it was slowing down processes. It was slowing down gameplay. It was slowing down so much stuff. It was just cumbersome. People get their Windows 10 device. They turns it off immediately once they figure out they can turn it off. Not everybody, or if they do have it, they don't use it. To me, Cortana, the voice on Cortana on Windows 10, okay, whatever. The functionality of Cortana on Windows 10 shouldn't be disabled. That's my personal opinion, and this is someone who's still rocking out on Windows.
It is disabled.
But they shouldn't. They shouldn't disable it.
No, you have to enable it, but so no one should be turning it off because it doesn't come enabled.
On the 10s that I installed or had helped people set up, it was on.
No, it's never on.
On by default, you're saying.
And
it's not. It's not on by default. In your setup, you have to say yes.
So right in the setup point, right? Excuse me, right? And we just turn, and people just turn it on.
So if you're not paying attention, if you just next,
that's usually what happens. But that's by design. There's a South Park episode about that too, by the way, RZA.
No, but it's like it's super intentional. Like the shit says, "Hi, I'm Cortana." Like you can't next your way through that. You have to intentionally turn it on.
Recently that did that, a throwaway, and then the other one I got for the job does that it's like it's super intentional. My sister's laptop, it wasn't that intentional when we set it up for her, but we was just trying to get to the desktop, so maybe we just straight blew past it as much as possible. Either way, I tell people don't turn it off. If you can disable the voice part, do that, but use Cortana. Cortana is dope. Also, another part of the failed thing wasn't she in? She is in the Master Chief thing. She's part of Halo's world as well. So they had like a setup, which would have then spilled over to the Microsoft Studio stuff that's out, the Microsoft Surface thing, which has been killing or not killing, depending on what angle you on. Had they not lost their phone devices, had they not lost their footprint and gained more traction that they have now with their Surface products earlier, they probably could have done something similar, because they also had the tablets, they had the phablets, they had all these things, right? And today it's like, well, why bother? Like, you have to install the Cortana on your phone, Android phone, which is Google. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or if you got Alexa's connected to Amazon.
That's why I never use Alexa anything. That exact reason is why Alexa.
Right, and then Amazon makes a bunch of devices for various reasons, so it's easier for them to get devices in the home when it came time for them to do this. I mean, it's on. You can get a Roku player or what's the name with it? Not a Roku player, the Fire Stick or whatever their little Fire product is already built in. So they have traction on it. Microsoft getting in that game would really be aggressive, but they got to be loyal to it. They have to stick to it. They have to fight for it. And I've always said this. I know Ramon sometimes agree with it, sometimes don't. To me, it feels like they the dudes with a bunch of money that can afford to have a hobby and then go switch hobbies anytime they feel like it. You know what I mean? Like, they never stick with anything long enough, or they don't do it the way they're supposed to make it work. And then when they do something, then it just falls off.
And seemingly the only thing that they stick to that consistently that has worked at this point in time is the Xbox. And it's
you mean from a consumer level?
from its Windows, and then I'd say maybe Xbox, and then it's now Surface branded items.
Man.
I mean, listen, correct me if I'm wrong,
I'm gonna tell son, Microsoft's biggest cash cow is Office
all day.
Right. But
don't let any of these fucking hipsters tell you about Google Docs, son. Try to use. Like, my wife uses that, and it's a shame. Like, she works at a school, and they make them use Google Docs.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I've been watching them trying to like navigate a spreadsheet or like Google's version of Excel. Mm-hmm. It is fucking embarrassing.
Yeah.
It is embarrassing. And it's just like, what even is this? Like, we're not providing educators with business class tools.
It's very second
and
rate.
Wondering why our kids are coming out of that environment dumb as fuck.
Yeah.
They're rushing to give the kids Chromebooks and wondering why the kids are fucking stupid as shit. Like, I do better. Right. But it's Office, it's Azure.
Yeah.
It's enterprise tools. Then it's Windows, and then it's Xbox, or whatever the fuck Microsoft feels like doing after that.
Yeah, I mean, it's more silly me to forget that their enterprise software has been consistent for over 20 years. Nonetheless, but when I say, what I say, consistent visually, from a visual perspective, you see these things. I feel like enterprise and their documentation, their docs are very behind the scene, because unless you have a Windows powered device, you wouldn't even know about it. It's like it becomes furthest from your mind. But you do see Xbox, and you do see like Surface things, because you see that's in front of your face.
It's consumer shit.
Yeah. But so then this question kind of transforms then. And I don't want to be too lengthy with it. However, what can Microsoft do other than remain consistent with what they've been doing, but to, I guess, to push the envelope in the scheme of what is to come. We started this off with their version of home automation versus what everybody else is doing, and I'm not saying they should or shouldn't, but if it makes sense, would it not be for them to take a stab at trying to focus their attention on it? You know,
I get what you're asking. So right now, you're already behind the curve. What you're asking, because you're thinking about what you see now that's trendy.
Yeah.
What you see now that's trendy is old.
Very true. Yes, I understand.
It's 3 or 4 years old, right? It's just, you know, now it's to the point where my mom asks me, "Hey, I want a Google Now or Alexa." Right. That's old. So akin to the conversation we had on the last episode, where we talk about do we see ourselves being more health conscious in today's climate? Right. You may have a conversation about I want to lose some weight. Right? So, all right, so stop eating this and maybe get outside and ride your bike. Mm-hmm. But somebody else with a greater perspective will come and say, "No, you don't want to just lose weight. You want to be a better, more healthier version of yourself." Right. So really what you're saying is you want to be healthier. Right. And you would look at them like, "Yeah, motherfucker, that's what I said." Like, but no, actually, you're going to want to be more active. You're going to want to scrutinize the things you put in your body. You're going to want to work on the relationship with your significant other. You're going to want to take some personal time for yourself to keep who you are in check. You're going to want to find a hobby to release. Like, all of these things are general health that makes you a healthier person, not just niche down to this one thing. And Microsoft's mantra, and I'm probably going to paraphrase it because I can't remember what it is. I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago they changed it. It was technology to empower the world. Right.
That's very Bill Gates-ish.
It's actually Satya. Yeah. It's very Satya-ish. Bill Gates would have been like, Windows is the solution to all the problems in the world. Satya is like, no, Microsoft is about empowering the world to make changes. What the fuck does that mean, Satya? You remember Kanye in the Kobe Bryant commercial? What the fuck does that mean, Kobe Bryant? More. It's about no, Windows is a part of that, but also the HoloLens is too. Right. And you as a consumer would be like, well, what's the HoloLens? Like, isn't that a toy? Like, no, that's not a toy. That is something that's going to largely change our industrial world. And then later, as it becomes old, in air quotes, and stable technology, it could potentially change the way we interact with our world as a side effect of that. But that's a very purpose-built piece of technology, right? It's about Microsoft Office as a productivity suite and how Microsoft is changing how they sell it, going from traditional $400 for Office, $2,000 whatever, to $100 a year for all of these different application suites, which include, by the way, Microsoft Teams, which used to be old school Skype for Business, which is now just Microsoft Teams, which is probably the best solution on the market when it comes to this video chat shit and Discord shit and fucking what's the other one? No, you got to say the name because the other one, what's the other? Slack. Like, Teams is the more refined version of all three of those. And it used to be just a business tool, and Microsoft is saying, nah, fam, the regular person has a use for this. This is a tool that can be used to change their world. Give it to them. Let's no longer give these labels of, well, this is enterprise, this is small business, this is personal, this is home edition. Like, all that shit's out the door. So you get what I mean by that analogy? By like, let's not niche down. Let's just focus on, here's what we do. We give you tools to change the world.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And then if you want to see a parallel of what that really looks like what does that mean, Kobe Bryant? You ever see a picture of like a TV in Times Square with a blue screen?
Yes.
Or like a subway sign or some shit with a blue screen? It's funny as fuck, right? Everyone's like, oh, here we go. There's that Windows. Right. What's your alternative, fam? Why doesn't that run Mac OS if Windows is so bad? Right? So the reason that thing blue screen is because A, it's piss old technology. It was poorly implemented and poorly maintained.
Right.
And the reason it's going to continue to blue screen is because they don't have the budget to, 1, purchase the new and upgraded hardware. 2, purchase the new and upgraded software, Windows, right? And when I mean upgraded, I'm talking about support. Right. You have an issue, you call and get support. No, you're running something that's 20 years old. And then 3, you're not gonna pay someone $80,000-$90,000 a year to be in a position to proactively solve this problem. You're gonna have a tech that's making $20 an hour go out to try to reset this every time it happens. Mm-hmm. So that's how you ended up in that world. Somebody like Apple is gonna be like, get off my doorstep. Mm-hmm. Cause I sell the new turnstile, and it'll cost you $50,000. You don't like it? Get off my phone. You understand what I mean? Yeah. Like that's the difference between these two, and that's forever why people like. Son, I get it. Apple is got all this money because they make these ridiculous margins on these very attractive products, but they are not the products you need to keep this world running. Mm-hmm. They're really not. And I would argue that any fucking day. Apple is, I would say they're very privileged technology. You can get everything you need to do done in the Microsoft and Google camp. You don't need Apple, but you need Microsoft or Google.
So can one say that Apple epitomizes the idea of white privilege?
Fam, Apple embodies Steve Jobs, right? Like Steve Jobs is the asshole he is or was because his foster parents raised him like that. Yeah. His foster parents were the one that raised him to always like, no, Steve, you're right. You're always and forever will be the smartest person in the room. And that's how he lived his life.
White privilege.
And that's the importance that we as in our generation, as black people, that's the shit we need to instill in our kids.
Yeah.
Because we have a foot to do it. Before we did it. Now we do. Yeah. You know what? Fuck it. I'm instilling privilege. I'm instilling arrogance. All that crazy shit. All the confidence of a white male, like Kanye said. I'm putting all that in my kids. And then when they get out there and they get their chance to change the world, it'll reflect in their product. Mm-hmm. And they get to say, well, I don't give a fuck if you can't afford $1,000 phone. That's what I'm selling.
Yeah. And you can.
Everybody else around you got it. What's your problem?
You can reserve.
So now you got to go sell your lung to get it.
And you can reserve the right to say, if you can't afford what I'm selling, then it's not meant for you.
Absolutely.
And that sounds harsh. That sounds
but that's the truth.
Audibly harsh, but is it wrong?
Son, it's and our culture used to take that as like straight up disrespect because it wasn't literally for us. We couldn't afford it.
And this just got good. And you don't want to make this into something that it's not, and I'm not, and these are all great ideas and topics for a later time. However, just to touch on it, when we talk about what happened with Timbaland and what happened with Tommy Hilfiger and what happened with all these companies, and when they got on these platforms and they said, well, my clothes, because they didn't say it's not, I wasn't making these clothes for black people to buy. And it was, you have to look at these words very carefully. If you can buy it, you buy what you want. But structurally, and I just want to get it right.
I got you.
It's the product in itself. Take, for instance, a Gucci.
I got you. Let me bring it home for you. So you're saying they're not selling anti-black clothes?
They're not selling anti-black clothes.
Right.
They're selling clothes.
They have their demographic of who this is for, and it just so happens to be not your black ass.
And the average clothing that is produced when it comes to Euro, when it comes to French cut, when it comes to Italian cut, when it comes to all the Portuguese cut. Listen, how many Portuguese black people do you know? How many Italian black people do you know? How many, you know what I'm saying? So what are they basing it on? If these individuals are, if I'm an Italian designer and I'm designing Italian suits, my Italian suits will be based on the people that I have as subjects when it comes to tailoring this suit that I'm producing. So I don't have any black people with full bodies, with voluptuous asses and big chests guys, or wide build, wide shouldered black men. I don't have that. I have what I have.
Yeah.
So my product wasn't designed around black people.
I 1,000% agree with you. And what I always thought that conversation was so interesting because, when somebody like, and I still to this day, I've never actually seen a video, because I heard it was on a video interview. He said it, but I've never seen an interview where Tommy Hilfiger said he don't make his clothes for black people. So I'm not even sure he actually said that.
That was Oprah. Yeah.
I mean, whatever. I'm not making excuses. Sure. When somebody like him says something like that, this is a class thing. That shit doesn't belong on poor people. Now, he's talking about poor Indian people. He's talking about poor black people, poor Asian people. He's talking about poor white people, right?
Yeah.
But this is our culture internalizing something. So what that means is, if I'm trying to get my point to you as a black man that Tommy Hilfiger said he doesn't make his clothes for me, that means I need to turn my face to the blind fact that he also doesn't make it for a poor white person. Right. But it isn't as impactable of a story then, is it?
Yeah, right.
But that's the reality, right? Now, what happens is, since then, and I've heard a lot of black people say, this is fucking crazy. We pretty much make their brands popular and drive their business, and they don't give a fuck about us. Also true.
Yes.
Also true. What is also true is these people never asked you to do that.
Right.
You did that. So don't expect, again, somebody to come back and be like, oh shit, let me start remaking my clothes to fit you, because then my clothes wouldn't be my fucking clothes that you're buying. It's something completely different. And that's his prerogative to come back and say that. And it's your prerogative as a black person to feel how you feel. So I get both sides of it. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, guys, just fucking move on now. In today's climate, it's different. Mm-hmm. Culture has become black culture. And it is the shit that we wear that people are like, oh,
street
word.
Fashion.
Oh, word.
Back to that original conversation.
Right. And I get it. That's also cool. All the low heads, the polo heads, the sneaker wearing, the weed smoking, the use of the N-word. All that shit is wild culture now.
Absolutely.
And I get it, because I feel more comfortable being me now. For the first time ever, I feel like I can walk the street and be me. And that's cool. But also, now that you told me for 20 years that you had this power, and I've been telling you, Man, shut your ass up. You mean nothing. You're like, nah, my culture means something.
Right.
Now your culture does mean something. You told me you had the power. You had it. You got the stage now. What are you doing with it? You still buying Tommy Hilfiger? You still buying Louis and Gucci? You can't find your own black made thing?
Right.
Now is not the time to go back and find what and pull Carl Kanai off of the fucking Mike Tyson podcast and get him rolling again. Now's not the time to separate Dapper Dan from Gucci. No, you don't see it that way? Then you never had a fucking point back in the 90s.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just...
Bro, listen. Nah. In this conversation, listen, we're both saying the same damn thing. When you understand what it is that drives people when they hear what they hear to go left with it. Because did you understand contextually what was said and how it was said? And instead of hearing something and flying off the helm about it because you attributed it to you. All right?
Yeah.
No. Whenever you internalize what you hear without dissecting and understanding what it is that the person speaking was talking about, you're wrong.
But it's okay.
It's okay.
I don't give a fuck what you tell yourself. But when you try to drive a narrative that you're speaking now for the entire culture,
right.
Hang on, fam. Hang on.
Well,
and I think there's points on both sides of the fence, but
it is.
So I just that shit about what's worth it and what's not worth it is such an annoying conversation because the people who think they're morally grounded really aren't. Right? Like, there are people that would shame me for going and spending all that money. So I had to make sure that my wife had the diamond of diamonds. Yeah. And I'm not Kanye West, but I put a fuck ton of energy in that. And I pulled my resources and I leaned on my circle to get that ring. Fuck the ring to get the diamond.
Yeah.
And there are people that would just love to tell me no every time I say yes. Oh, look at this material ass motherfucker right here. I'm sorry, are you shaming me from your iPhone? as if the fucking the footprint, the global footprint to make your fucking iPhone isn't worse than what it was to mine for this diamond. So you think that their kids in Africa didn't lose hands to make the battery in your phone? That did lose hands to pull this diamond out of the fucking... Like, yo, get the fuck off of my lawn with that.
There are people still dying for that iPhone 8, 9, 10, and 11. People, there are healthcare issues. Son, we can go on for days. There are healthcare issues still in China.
But none of that fucking matters because Steve Jobs' fucking foster parents told him
he was the shit.
He was the only thing on earth that mattered. And now his perspective, son, to this day, every college graduation quotes Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
But you're not quoting Steve Jobs when Naquan fucks you, makes some Kool-Aid, a sandwich, and you never see from him ever again. Why you mad, fam? Steve Jobs did that.
Yeah.
That's okay to me. If it was good for Steve Jobs, it's good for Naquan, right? Man, get the fuck out of here with that. And all day long, son. All day long.
People really just don't. They don't get it. And like, you know, I'm not, it's funny. I'm not going to dive into our comment section. But there's a few things, and I'm more than certain everybody saw here. There's a few things that some people said or may have said that, like, fam, I get where you're coming from, but you totally missed the point. And if you're that egregious in how badly you missed the point of what we're saying, you totally missed it. You went where we were going straight, you veered off way left, and I'm just like, and that's just more sugar for the coffee. Like, if you listen and understand the first time, you won't say what you say, and you won't feel how you feel about most.
this entire brand, this entire podcast, this entire conversation, our entire friendships and brotherhoods and livelihoods around each other, these are built with perspective.
Yeah.
That's it. What we have here as business partners and brothers, this is not built on right or wrong. Because all of us, every fucking day, in every conversation we have amongst ourselves, are right and or wrong.
Xbox sucks. I'm right.
Yeah.
He's right. He has his reasons. He says that. And I have my reasons to counteract that.
And I have my reasons to troll you both. It is what it is.
It doesn't. It's perspective. And if someone sits here and puts forth, they build a story, and then they build a perspective. Right. If you don't get that, then that's the reason why I don't read comments. Because if I see you and we're on the way to Burger King, I'm gonna fucking run you over.
Yeah.
So that's the reason. Like, so I don't give a fuck what anybody says.
Yeah. If for your ignorance only, you get ran over. Yeah. Sorry, because you.
And I'm gonna tell you this, fam. I graduated from being one of the most ignorant people I know to being the most sophisticated troll ever. Yeah. And I was only able to do that by perspective. And I'm a troll because, for me, it's annoying that people are stupid. And I need them to know that I know that they're stupid. And that's why I troll. Because when a troll hits you and you get upset, there you go. You know why you upset, you dumb fuck.
I ain't even gonna,
You know what I mean? So I'm not worried about that.
For sure. I just think, I don't know how the fuck we got here, but
the moral of the story is companies are not moral. They're amoral. And as much as I love, the only reason I love to shit all over Steve Jobs so much is because Apple was not a company. Steve Jobs was the fucking company. Steve Jobs was the fucking product.
Yeah.
And I keep coming back to the minute that man died, shit just changed over there. And they have no fucking direction. They had a little bit of his roadmap left, but he was the fucking product.
And they deviated.
He was the reason people were paying that market, that markup.
They deviated.
And I will forever go after him. Don't hold him up as a fucking... Son, I'll never forget that dude was upset that Bill Gates got knighted and he didn't. What the fuck did Steve Jobs do to deserve knighthood from the Queen of England? Are you fucking kidding me?
And
even today, if you pulled him out of his grave, he still does not deserve to be knighted.
Yeah.
That's the type of... And that's what that's that white privilege.
Yeah.
That was instilled in him, and I want a piece of that. I want a piece of that.
Yeah.
I'm going to change... Spoiler alert, we got a pretty heavy episode coming up about the N-word.
Yep. That's going
Not only are we changing the perspective on that, but I'm taking the word white out of privilege. Let me get a piece of that privilege.
Yeah.
Fuck out of here. Because you need to be in a specific place of power. To exercise privilege. Yo, I'm on my way, fam. I will be there in 10 fucking minutes. Straight
that
up.
Conversation, we getting busy. We getting busy.
On to the next topic. Got me fucking wound up.
Man. Yeah, man. So
about to go on the roof and start throwing up fucking empty Poland Spring bottles at people.
Yeah, nigga.
Boom. A pop.
I guess since it seems to me like I'm the fucking resident Star Wars enthusiast here.
Sir, I'm the enthusiast. You're the fanboy.
I don't give up.
Arguably, I can fanboy and I can enthuse. But,
okay, fair enough.
I asked this man, if he's watched from the point that he stopped watching, has he rejoined the Star Wars collective and continued on
You talking to
watching?
me or you talking to Snow?
And continue, man, you.
I didn't like the way your tone was when you said that mad, son. You know what I'm saying?
I asked Ramon, I said, have you started back watching Clone Wars? And he says, nah, B, fuck that shit. I can't rock with Anakin.
It's Anakin,
son. And I'm like,
it's Anakin.
I'm like, son. I'm like, I said, you're the focus of the entire prequel series, whether it's live action or cartoon. Is Anakin and his way, his I don't get my way, but you doing it your way, and when I tell you don't do it your way, you got a problem with it. Like that, and it is all about him. It is all about his attitude. It is all about his how he handles his situations. It's all about that. So I said, watch the series and then come back. And he has yet to do such.
Son, I'm about... What season was I on? 2 or 3?
God damn, 2 or 3? There's 7 seasons in that.
Yeah, I might have been. I'm where Ahsoka is kicking ass.
All right.
She's now getting her own solo missions without Anakin type shit.
So you're at Ahsoka's arc.
I enjoy Darth Vader. I enjoy Darth Vader.
Yes.
I just feel like I don't want to see him. I don't want to see Anakin turn it because Anakin is a bitch. I can't watch that shit, son.
All right. So
I don't want to watch Michael Jordan when he's in the park missing jump shots. But you
have to, because that builds up, that establishes a footing, a ground level, a surface level. That's a foundation. You understand?
You have a point.
It's like what did Jay-Z say? In order to be Michael Jordan now, you had to be Michael Jordan then, or something like that.
Not Jordan,
something
Mike,
to the effect
the other Mike. To be Bobby now, you got to be Bobby then.
To know Bobby now, you have to know Bobby then, or what have you. You have to establish a surface, a ground level, a foundation of what it means to be, what this character is about, what he is going through in his mind, and why his turn from the light to the dark was so impactful. And Clone Wars, when it comes to him and as opposed to every other, like, you see, there are situations where he was Darth Vader without the suit. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was a situation where he was interrogating somebody. I can't remember who it was, but he's interrogating them. There's clone troopers, 1 or 2, in the cell with him. And he said, "Leave us." That's what he said. "Leave us." Very Vaderist, off the rip. And he force choked this dude. He force choked this dude into giving him the information. In fact, it was the episode. It was very close to the end. One of the episodes where Ahsoka, I want to say Ahsoka was, they were saying was part of a bombing or something that they would say that she betrayed, but she didn't. It was someone else, and he wanted to get to the bottom of this real quick, and he force choked. Like, that's where I say you gotta watch this, because it establishes this dude as first of all, to be unfit a Jedi. You know what I'm saying? But now, at the end of it all, even though it is very, it's a lot less Anakin, Obi-Wan, because you knew where the path was leading at that point. Yeah. You knew it came to a point in one of the episodes where it's like, okay, this is happening. Ahsoka and another character goes to the Jedi Council right after one of the conversations that they were having took place in the movie, same setting. They were like, okay, well, we need Obi-Wan and Anakin to rescue Palpatine from Grievous. And they have that conversation. Then a conversation spins on to Ahsoka. They greet her. It's like, oh, this, that, or the third.
Did she die in Order 66?
No, she didn't die.
Is Ahsoka dead?
She is not. She is not. In fact, Ahsoka is one of the longest living. If you want to include current, she's one of the current living Jedi, not Jedis, in canon right now.
Son, fuck this universe. Where is Ahsoka, son?
She's around. She's visibly, son. This is why.
Tawann.
This is why I said
Taiwan.
Watch the shows.
Taiwan.
Watch the shows. Go ahead.
We just watched 3 piss poor Star Wars movies, and I ain't see not one fucking Ahsoka.
Because they're not going to write her into a script that further convolutes a story that's already convoluted. Like, you're talking, like the focus was Rey, Finn, and anybody else new that was of real importance. The story was not an old character that comes back and just mysteriously can help their cause. How do you shoot? Because anything becomes a shoehorn at that point. So we're gonna shoehorn her in for the fans. Like we didn't shoehorn Palpatine in to help this this failing franchise. Like, so now we're gonna shoehorn her in. And it's going to further complicate things. No, she's around. She's in the background. Let her stay there.
Sir.
You heard her at the end.
When I get off this podcast with you, I'm going to delete every fucking thing Star Wars.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
I will now join Captain Kirk and the crew at Star Trek. And that is where I will be. We're writing. Consistent writing is key.
One can argue that the three J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies.
No, here we go.
Was problematic. I
don't want to derail you, sir. I don't want to carry on with your fucking.
I don't agree with it, but somebody out there, and I'm assuming a host of people. I know a host of people can argue that all 3 of those was a load of shit. But it is what it is.
So your question is, and this was the last episode of Clone Wars. I'm sorry, the last season.
The last season, 7. Season 7, yes.
Were you satisfied?
I was. There were filler episodes where I understand they're telling a story about what this character was doing at that time. It came up after, like it seemed. Again, listen, a lot of this, the most important episodes took place around Order 66. So it almost, or what I'll say better is Revenge of the Sith. So now you have to think about time. So if this is happening and this is happening, damn, how long did this take to happen? Because this took a while and vice versa. But they made it work without burning brain cells. You know, it happened. And you're watching the timeline. Like, they did a very good job at following the timeline of what's happening versus what shouldn't be happening, and what's going on with Ahsoka. Like, it got really good. Excuse me. It got really good at that point. And it was, they did well to tie in or to tie up the end of the Clone Wars and how everything happened, because obviously they hadn't, Clone Wars was incomplete, and I think it ended with Yoda's arc, or something that Yoda's training that he had to do, what have you. But at this point in time, it wrapped up so well. The last 4 episodes was so intense. They were dark. It was dark. It pulled at you.
So I'll just go watch those.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could.
You know what it is? I don't need. So I could see Vader coming out in Anakin when motherfuckers grabbed R2, and Obi-Wan was like, "Listen, Anakin, R2's gone now. Right. You gotta leave him." And he was like, "What? Fuck you." Yeah. And he disobeyed all orders, and he was wilding out, and he got them in more trouble. Almost got Ahsoka killed, like the whole 9. I could see from that one episode, of course this is the arc. I don't need fucking 4 seasons of that. You do.
God love it.
I get it. You love it. But I think I'll just watch the last 4 and be satisfied.
Yeah. I mean, I think you could watch the last 4 and be thoroughly set. There's a lot. There are episodes, like I could run. What I'll do is we'll probably, maybe today or tomorrow, what have you, whenever I get a chance, I will send you the episodes you need to watch, because there's a lot of episodes that I don't think you need to watch based on where you left off. I know I'll send this and I'll send that, and it's not many from a season. I know you watch these episodes, you're good. You know what I'm saying? That should pretty much explain anything you need to know about Obi-Wan, Anakin, Dooku, Palpatine, Ahsoka, and in that realm. You know, you don't really have to dive that deep into the clones, because
I find that story to be boring, to be honest.
The most you really need to know is that the clones was all in Palpatine's plan, and I think you get that already. And part of the reason why they turned on the Jedi was because of they had inhibitor chips implanted at birth. So, it didn't matter unless they knew about the chips, which couldn't be scanned, because they were not artificial based. They were like, it was like a flesh and blood type thing. The chip, it wasn't just a piece of metal or a microchip implanted. It was there's a terminology for it, but it was implanted, and they was able to find it. The only way Ahsoka was able to find it because she used the Force. So, I'll get them all up, and then I'll say, hey, watch these. Now, the question was, did Clone Wars become one of the greatest cartoons ever?
What?
I can say, because of the last 4 episodes, yes. It's not the greatest, but it has made itself. It is driven high because of the last 4 episodes, as to why I feel it could be one of the greatest cartoons ever.
Okay.
So, again, Snow, just got out of second language class, and he doesn't know what we're talking about. It probably cares not. But
he don't give a fuck about Star Wars.
Yeah, that's wild. Like, ow.
I enjoy
all
the visual aspects of it. Care about none of the stories.
And
you know who else don't care about none of the stories? The writers.
Well, I wouldn't say that. Dave Filoni cares 1,000% about stuff, but that's the problem. They have the
who wrote the last 3 movies? Was that Dave Spallone or whatever the
Filoni,
fuck?
Son, Filoni.
Baloney,
yeah,
baloney.
Yeah.
That was who it was. It was JJ, and it was this guy. I think.
All right, sir.
I think that when it comes to the writing for Star Wars, you need a person like Dave Filoni at the helm, because they have a genuine passion and a genuine love for it. It's not just, okay, I'm running a business, I need a really good IT professional. Ramon, I need you. I want to hire you to handle something. You are doing a job. You like what I'm doing. You don't love it, but you're going to render what you feel is the best possible job or performance that you're capable of putting out. But your heart isn't into it.
Yeah.
Dave Filoni, his heart is into it. He eats, breathes, lives, shits Star Wars. So, and this is the failure of Lucasfilm and Disney. They have these people in play, but they're not using them. They say, "Oh, you're good enough for the cartoon, the Clone Wars. Oh, you're good enough for Rebels. But we can't put you on a movie just yet." But then The Mandalorian comes out, and it is gangbusters. Wanna know why? Because you got people that are attached to it that love it. That again eats, breathes, and shits Star Wars.
And you're telling me these same people were attached to The Last Jedi?
No, they wasn't. They wasn't.
Okay.
As you guys was talking,
Okay.
I was just looking up reference points just to see, who's saying what. And what's funny is as much as people as there are YouTube on, there's a bunch of Ramones out there too who just like in the comment sections going ham. And I didn't want to interrupt the flow to put these in the context, especially where I can't speak to it. But the one thing I will say is the Phantom Apprentice, right? So on IMDb, they have these things where they talk about, a TV episode, what's the greatest of it. And it just entered the top 4. And you needed 5,000 votes at least in order to be in the IMDb rating. So the first one is an episode from Breaking Bad, an episode from Attack on Titan, another episode from Attack on Titan, and then number 4 is Star Wars, The Clone Wars, the Phantom Apprentice.
Apprentice.
So, apparently they out here.
Is that an episode?
That's the first of 4. Yeah, that's the first of, I believe it's the first of 4 episodes, the last 4 episodes of the Clone Wars.
Yes. So,
and
they out here and people are rocking in the comment section, going off and on. So
thanks for the assist, Snow. This is to my point. This cartoon, which is based on very adult subject matter, nonetheless, this cartoon, it's up there. It's up there with, like, and when you think cartoon, before I even go further, when you think cartoon, you think of a lot of fuckery that we've had in the past that has never been closed off. It's been opened here You start off good, and your seasons are good, but take Transformers, the cartoon. It never ended. It was the last three episodes was the rebirth. It was the Return of Optimus Prime Part 1 and 2, and then the Rebirth Part 1, 2, and 3, where they started with the Headmasters, and then that's it. And then they went on to sell the toy products, and then let China pick up where they left off, and the UK pick up wherever they supposedly left off, and then it was the company or the US release was basically in obscurity. He-Man never ended. Thundercats never ended. It never, when they said, all right, we're going to cancel this, no one worked towards capping off, I don't know, a 4 or 5, 6, 7 season series of a cartoon and said, this is how we're going to end it. He-Man loses his power, or his sword breaks, or fucking he marries Teela. Nothing was ended. So now here you got Clone Wars. People were up in arms about the fact that, it didn't end. Why? What's up? What happened? It just went away. So now you come back and you end it, and this is the response. Rave reviews. Like,
Can I interject?
Be my guest, sir.
Yeah. I would add another layer on top of what you're saying. He-Man and Thundercats and Transformers didn't end because motherfuckers just knew when to walk away. Versus Star Wars and the fuckfest that is that storyline. They just keep throwing shit at the wall till they get a new direction. It's good, however, that they finally fumbled on an ending, and it seems to be satisfactory for all. I'm happy to hear that.
You said they fumbled on an ending?
Son, by and large, Star Wars as a franchise is all over the fucking place. Very little consistency.
Oh, okay.
Especially these last 3 fuckface movies.
So you're saying the prequel was a fumble?
Son, the prequels are suspect, fam, but I rock with it.
So
I rock
the
with
original
it,
trilogy is a fumble.
Son, the whole shit is a stretch. George Lucas himself admitted he ain't never really meant to create this big scathing universe. He created what he created, and when his shit went north, he was like, "Oh shit, where's my pen and paper? Time to make some more shit up." This wasn't a Game of Thrones type. From the inception of the project, it was meant to be long and scathing and involved and detailed. And in fact, that's a great parallel. You can tell in Lord of the Rings the type of in-depth character developments and complexities of the history of the characters, that it was meant to be that way, versus something like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. You can tell that, no, you got something special here. Can you stretch it some more? Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. That's just how I see it. But I'll still rock with you.
So
I'll still go to see Star Wars whatever the fuck on Christmas with you, you know?
Oh, man. Hey, listen, man. So what's your take? Do you think that it's...
I'm watching the last 4.
You watched the last 4. And
I'm watching the last 4.
Maybe we'll add, as an icebreaker, later... Ramon, and I don't know if Snow's going to watch it, but Ramon's response to Did Clone Wars just become one of the greatest cartoons ever?
I'm not debating you on that either, though, because you watch a fuck ton of cartoons. So,
but
I know you wasn't happy with that. Was it the last Transformers? What was it? No, was it Gundam?
Oh, what do you mean? What
was the last Netflix cartoon series you was in when you said they shoehorned in the guy being gay at the end for no reason?
Oh, Voltron.
Voltron.
Yeah. It was good, but like, come on, B. So now you want to be politically correct at a time where it's popular? Nah, B, don't do that.
But he wasn't gay all along, right?
He didn't come across as gay, but he was. And I'm just like, no. I want to say, was it Voltron? Yeah, I think it was Voltron.
I think it was Voltron. It was Voltron. Yeah. We spoke about it.
They did it in a way just like Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, with the two women kissing. And come on, man, don't put it in my face. Yeah. I don't have a problem.
If you're gonna do it, commit to it from jump.
It should have been a thing way before now, but because it now is now, and it's people are I don't even want to say more accepting or comfortable, because there are so many people that are very uncomfortable with it. However, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
But don't put it in my face because it's popular now. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, it seemed out of place.
Yes, it did. When it wasn't in any other trilogy of Star Wars movies. So,
Voltron. Oh, you're talking about the Star Wars kiss at the... But it wasn't even that big of a deal,
It wasn't a big of... right, that's what I'm saying. For me and anybody that...
They weren't even main characters.
They were absolutely not. But...
For a while, I thought Poe and Finn were gay.
Yeah, they thought that was a fan rumor or a fan thing.
Yeah.
But
I saw an interview with the dude Poe. He was like, yeah, they should have kissed. Because they had that energy between them, that tension.
Right. So.
And from the start, they had a weird relationship.
Yeah, they did.
They had a bromance from the very beginning. Yeah.
So. But, can we get this knocked off real quick? Oh, you want to?
Son. Yeah. Who? Is this
what?
Snow?
Nah, this is me.
What, me?
Is this Snow? Anytime I see anything Xbox, I'm pretty sure it's
Yeah,
Snow.
and how many times have you been wrong about that?
Hey, like I said in my fucking rant, I am okay being wrong, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I'm okay.
Listen, I don't want to be too lengthy with this one, but we can just touch on each aspect.
What you got?
And
roll out.
And we could speak our left or our right, and then we'll move on.
I don't know what that means. Nah, go ahead.
You don't know what that means?
Get to that.
Oh, okay, no, because you're gonna speak your piece about it. Xbox Series X. I need answers.
Tawann needs answers.
Okay.
I need answers. Right. I need answers because these are the things that were a focus prior to like focus, and I might have thrown in one or two. First question I have is, did Microsoft really get the naming wrong with the new console? So what do I mean by that? Is it that big of a... Is it... I'm not going to curse. I'm not going to curse. Is it that big of a deal that the new console is called the Xbox Series X?
So what? I mean, RZA?
No. I think absolutely not.
I think it's a problem.
Maybe this should have been our great debate question.
It's because I understand humans. People are fucking stupid. As much as people show love and appreciation, is equal parts stupid. The Wii,
Yeah.
and again, this is not me criticizing Microsoft, because I know what it sounds like. This is not this at all. I'm all about the wins. I'm all about it. When Nintendo had a project on their name, it was called the NX, right? Everybody was hyped about it. I mean, people were writing up about it. People who were pro Xbox, pro Microsoft was talking about it. Some gamers that retired came up out of their coffin, was like, the NX, that sounds like something I want to get a part of. Everybody was there. And then they released the actual name, the Wii U. Everybody scattered, right? And it showed in its sales, and it showed in a lot of things why it failed, right? One of the biggest complaints when the market research came back, because this was the thing that I always figured to say, is that people thought that the Wii U, when it was being advertised, because it looked so similar, and that the name was so similar, that the only thing that they saw when the console was being advertised was the tablet. So they thought it was just another peripheral that was being added to the Wii. Right? Now, the other part of that was, well, you can't take the tablet nowhere with you, aka the Nintendo Switch, right? So, and then it had terrible, which I agree, it had a terrible technology of only one touch. You should have had multi-touch, right? So then it got caught up in that. Hurt the sales on that. One could argue that what people were trying to say, it still don't matter because Nintendo still came out underpowered. But the guess is, well, it's underpowered because it could leave the house, right? So Nintendo has a history of dropping underpowered consoles. That's not changed. In fact, if we do the homework, I don't think they've ever had the most powerful console if we're talking about direct competition, right? So, and if they did, there was 2 times where no one can make games on their damn platform because it was just too hard to make. The only company that you hear bad about that is PlayStation with the 3. Going back to the name, everything that Microsoft has done wrong for the Xbox One launch, the last thing you want to do is confuse people with your product. It's just showing time and time again, not just on not just with consoles. I mean, even with the Samsung devices right now, and that's why Apple's pulled out of this, right? You can't have a 5, a 5S, a 5C, a 5CE, and think that people aren't just gonna understand that. No, I have a lower tiered phone, or this isn't the latest greatest. Like, they want to know what's the difference, right? They want to know, when I walk into the store, what's the next Xbox thing? Here's what the Xbox did this generation: Xbox One, Xbox One Elite, Xbox One S, Xbox One, what was it? Digital something, digital only. Then Xbox One X, to then go Xbox Series X. If we're just talking to a general consumer, not the general human, a general consumer, you can't tell the difference in all those things lined up. Now, retailers have done a good job of removing items from their stock. You can't get an Xbox OG. You can't get an Xbox Elite. You can get an Xbox S, right? But now, with the Series X, you have to double down and spend unnecessary money to make sure that people understand that this is a Series X, not a 1X. And to me, it's a misstep. You don't need to do that. Just name it something else. You could have said Xbox Series something else. You could have kept it XX something, the XX2. Like, I don't care what it is. You have a product that's called 1X. It could have been one Neo. It just had to get away from being in between 2 X's, because you're jumping from a 1X to a Series X. Next thing you know, it's going to be Metro X. Like, it should have just did another name. And I know they got names, because the name that leaked for the Xbox One X, that leaked for the one before when we were still in the 360, so they had some dope names that was in there. So
Scorpio.
I mean, they could even took it.
Could
even took it to one of those, but they had a bunch of dope names that was in there. And I just think for a company, because they're not poor. I want to remove, because I know Ramon's going to be quick to go there. I want to remove Microsoft from the conversation. I want to talk about only Xbox. I don't care who Microsoft dad is. Same thing like I do with the PlayStation. And because I happen to work under the Sony umbrella, I have to really say this. Son, PlayStation doesn't give a fuck about Sony. Anytime you see Sony forced on that, it's because dad was like, nigga, I paid for the bills. You gonna put my name on something, right? But outside of that, it's PlayStation all the day. They don't want to be associated with their pops. They making their own legacy, right? So if you look at Xbox, and you look at some of the things that they face, I do not want Xbox out of the game. I just want them to make better campaign games, single player games, and that's all I really want from them. Because then it becomes a super even playing field. But if you can't get your console out to the people's hands, you have a problem. You're gonna have a Nintendo problem, but Nintendo will always be Nintendo because we all grew up on Nintendo. That's not the same for Xbox. You get what I'm saying? Today, some parent is walking in somebody's kid room right now at 2:47 on a quarantine Saturday and saying, "Yo, turn that damn Nintendo off." Knowing good and sound well that parent is our age shouldn't be calling nothing a Nintendo. They should be in the know.
And they call it Nintendo, right. Not
so
Nintendo.
I think it will be fine. I think it will be fine. I just think they should have just named it something else. That's my whole thing with it. And I don't have a beef with the way that the console looks. I just like cutting jokes on it.
I think you said something very important with the Wii. The Wii and the Wii U look very similar. It was fucking identical.
And at least Microsoft solved that problem, right?
Right. So where I'm going is, first of all, if you can't tell the difference between Xbox One X and Xbox Series X, if you can't tell that those are two different products, then you're a fucking idiot. That's almost like telling me you can't tell that the Galaxy S9 is a different product than the Galaxy S20. That's just fucking stupid. And if you get confused by that, you should probably not step foot in any type of brick and mortar place where you can buy a game. However, the fact that it looks totally different, it's a totally different hardware cycle. I don't expect anyone to go in a GameStop, let's say, because that's a popular thing, and be confused which one of these I buy. It's going to be very clear which of these is the new one.
I mean, make no mistake. When people was going to the store, when the other two versions of the Xbox was on the shelf, it was clear that the Xbox One S was the new one, but it's still an Xbox One.
So my point about this conversation is everything you said is 100% correct, but I don't think this leaves this circle. It's only gamers that care about stupid nitty gritty shit like this. And you want to know how I figured this out? Tawann, what iPhone do you have?
An 11.
What is it called, sir? An iPhone 11.
Yes, an iPhone 11.
Which MacBook does your wife have?
A MacBook, the Mac
Pro,
the Air, MacBook Air.
Which one?
Yeah,
exactly. You see my point?
I bought
because
this
Apple does. Tell you what, she does the early
2019,
2019, late 2019, late 22. Like it doesn't fucking matter, fam. You're here for a MacBook. Whatever's the new one on the shelf, give me that.
That's basically what happened.
Or if I want to save some money, then you ask, all right, well, do you have any of the older ones?
And that's
for the
very
sake
true
of
as well.
price?
Right.
You can't walk in and be like, even if Microsoft called the new Xbox One X. Just you still gonna walk in and be very clear. Nah, I'm here for the new one. I got my $500 to spend.
Right.
And if somebody says, "Yo, you know this one, oh, you here for the Xbox?" Let's just say there's a trolling ass employee. Oh, you want the Xbox One X? Fam, this is only $250. I know that the new console is gonna cost me at least $400. Hang on, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
You get what I mean? Like there's too much. Like these things are nitpickish.
It is
the names because we don't know fuck all about it. Everyone's waiting for Microsoft to fuck up again, and everyone in Microsoft camp is waiting for Sony to fuck up so they can get kicked off their high horse. So somebody's gonna release a name and they're gonna be like, oh, what is this? Or like the PlayStation 5? That's all you got? The PlayStation 5? That's it? You can't come up with no snazzy PlayStation 920 Helios. Like nobody gives a fuck. It's a PlayStation 5, fam. Move on. Son, Steve Jobs stood up on a fucking roll and said the name of my tablet is the iPad.
But
did that send fucking tampon stock price through the roof? Probably. You know how many men I remember reading that in the comment section when I was streaming that shit on Facebook. I'm never buying that product. Sounds too feminine for me.
And it rules the world. Yeah. But hold on.
Wow.
I gotta say something. I remember the first time I heard the iPod, first time I heard the iTouch, first time I heard the iPad. Son, they set the trend.